trusting someone to fight for them and trusting someone. These are two different things. Do you see any role that you've had in this sentiment that we've seen where people are questioning whether you're trustworthy?
I can only tell you, Brianna, that this has been a theme that has been used against me and my husband for many, many years. And at the end of the day, I think voters sort it all out.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
Yeah, that's what she was trying to say, that Monica Lewinsky was a liar. That's before we found the semen-stained dress. The right wing, by the way, was not right-wing semen on that dress, I do not believe. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, Jane Velez-Mitchell, founder of JaneUnchained.com, author of the New York Times bestseller Exposed, and it's not the kind of exposure we're talking about here, The Secret Life of Jodi Arias, and Larry Elder, radio host of The Larry Elder Show and author of Dear Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours, and check him out at LarryElder.com. All right, let's start with you, Jane. That interview with Hillary yesterday, I mean, it's the same. It hasn't changed in 20 years. It's the same. Oh, it's the right wing. They hate us. It's not me. It's not us. It's them.
She has been the subject of a witch hunt that would put the Salem witch trials to shame. There is such selective indignation when it comes to Hillary Clinton. She used her private email account. Well, guess what? Colin Powell, when he was Secretary of State, also used private emails. Nobody said a word about that. Jeb Bush, when he was governor of Florida, used private emails. They didn't even hand over some of the emails as she has handed over many tens of thousands of pages of emails. And nobody has said a word. People are out to get Hillary, and unfortunately, it's a witch hunt.
What Jane is conveniently leaving out, Larry, is that the rules changed in 2009 when Hillary became Secretary of State, and Hillary along the way put out a memorandum to her whole staff, the whole State Department, do not use personal email, use only the State Department email, and she was required to hand things over, and she said she laughed at the word subpoena in the interview, and there was a subpoena, even though she said there wasn't. I mean, the lies on Hillary's part just keep building and building and building.
Plus, she said she only had one email for convenience purposes.
Right, she had 2.
And then another time she said she had 5 of them because she's a gadget freak. She also said she didn't want any communication between her and Bill to be exposed because it was personal. And Bill said he doesn't use email. So lies and lies and lies. And Jane Velez-Mitchell says it's all a conspiracy brought about by these dastardly Republicans. Give me a break. We're tired of it. This is why she's falling in the polls. This is why Bernie Sanders is doing so well in the polls, because she has, among other things, a huge character issue problem.
And Jane, one of the things she said, and I'm sorry that it wasn't pointed out to her more specifically, because all polls, including the latest CNN, which shows that 40% trust and find Hillary honest and trustworthy, and she was confronted with Americans don't find you honest and trustworthy, and she just stood there and just corrected the world and said, oh, yes, they do. Well, and if Clinton says it, then it must be true, right?
The proof is in the pudding. And we know one of the reasons Bernie Sanders is doing well is because the Republicans are pushing him because they're so terrified of Hillary wiping the you-know-what with them when this first stage of the whole election process is over. This woman is formidable. That's why you're going after
Larry,
her.
I guess Jane didn't hear my question. We got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Bernie Sanders is doing well because of Republicans?
Yeah.
He's doing well because people on the left perceive Hillary, among other things, to have a real character problem. They don't trust her. They don't like the idea that she was asked to turn over these emails, turn over the ones she thought was relevant, destroy the others, and wipe down her
and by the way, Jane, I hope it's not Jell-O pudding that you're talking about. We're coming back. Don't go away.
Did you shoot Kate Steinle, the lady who was down on Pier 14?
Yes.
You did shoot her?
All right, there's the, I don't want to say what he is again. I did that enough yesterday. A man who should have been behind bars, a man who was let go by San Francisco because they're a sanctuary city, because they want to reach out to the community. So they let convicted felons out to murder. Rejoining the panel, Jane Velez-Mitchell and Larry Elder. And there's an interesting story today on Breitbart with information that goes according to the Sentencing Commission. And data obtained by Breitbart News shows that in fiscal year 2014, although illegal immigrants, Jane, account for 3.5% of the U.S. population, they represented 36.5% of federal sentences, those federally sentenced in 2014. The good illegal immigrants of the United States of America.
Steve, if you read the whole article at the bottom, it says if you remove immigration violations, the percentage goes down to 13%. Now, that being said, I am not an advocate for criminals, legal or illegal, but let's not broad brush an entire ethnicity because there's an immigration issue. There are 34 million Mexican Americans in this country. 22 million are U.S. born. 11 million are immigrants. There are 6 million illegal immigrants from Mexico, and only a portion of them are criminals, a small portion.
No.
And I think, let me just finish this thought.
Quickly.
You should go after that small portion. Don't go after everybody.
The problem with what Jane just said, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'd love to be one, is that she said only a small portion of the illegal Mexicans or immigrants in this country are criminals. By definition, that's a false argument. By definition, they're all criminals. Larry?
Well, once you enter the border, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal. But as you pointed out, we're talking about 3.5% of the population, accounting for almost 37% of the federal violations, and that does not include state and local violations. The Mexican government has put their military on their border. If you enter the country from Guatemala, you are a felon. You're not treated very well. And here we have illegal alien tuition for in-state people in California. We let them drive licenses. We let them drive cars. It's outrageous what we do to encourage illegal immigration in this country.
Jane?
Look, I think that this man should have been turned over to immigration authorities. I'm absolutely in favor of prosecuting to the fullest illegal immigrants who commit violent crime, but let's not broad brush all of them. Now, I don't believe that a sanctuary city should not turn over somebody who has been deported 5 times and convicted 7 times of felonies. This person should be in jail in some other country. In Mexico, send him back. We don't want him. That doesn't mean that I'm now suddenly saying that all immigrants are criminals. That's not true. And remember,
who is saying
we
that?
are a nation.
Who is saying
Donald
that?
Trump.
Donald Trump
Donald
specifically
Trump
did not say all. He specifically said not all. He specifically said the words not all.
Some are okay. You know,
he didn't
really.
say some are okay.
Give
and we're
me
not.
You're hungry,
and don't
you're
give
tired,
me.
you're
and
poor.
What were you going
Your
to just?
huddled masses yearning to breathe
Legally, not illegally. Don't break into my country. And by the way, you were going to say we're a nation of immigrants.
Yes.
I'm not an immigrant. My parents weren't immigrants. My child's not an immigrant.
Oh,
so I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you Native
Larry.
American?
Yeah, I'm Native American. I was born here.
Are you a Native
Larry,
American?
Go ahead.
The borders remain porous. We still have 700 miles that need to have adequate fencing. We need to put more manpower on there and also use other technology. It can be done. The will is not there. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have shown sufficient will to do it. That's why Donald Trump has struck a chord.
And but just I want your reaction quickly to this. So Anderson Cooper, talking to Donald Trump, Larry, brought up 35 years ago when they built either Trump Plaza, Trump Tower, whatever, that there were illegal Polish immigrants working on that site. And Donald Trump said, "Are you kidding me? 35 years ago? You're asking me about illegals who worked on my construction or the construction of a building? That's what it's come to."
We're all a nation of immigrants, and you could just stereotype any ethnic group. You could try to reduce all Italian Americans to organized crime. It's offensive. I would never do that. So I would certainly condemn Donald Trump for trying to broad brush
the country and commit violent offenses, Jane.
That's
all we're talking about right here.
People.
We've had several illegal aliens murder people just in the last 72 hours. This is what Donald Trump is talking about, and something needs to be done about it.
He didn't say that.
He said rape.
If he had articulated that, I'd say yes. crack down on illegal immigrants committing violent crimes, prosecute them to
so
the
you want to wait
fullest
until
extent
you
of
want to
the
wait
law.
till the illegals commit a violent crime?
You know, a child who is brought here from across the border
Wait a minute,
and
my violin.
who has committed no crime and who is going to school here and wants to become part of the American dream.
Okay, guys, gotta go. Jane Velez-Mitchell, Arias, thank you both. James Toronto is next. Don't go away. But first, folks, we want your freedom. We want your feedback. We want your freedom too. Let us know what you think of today's show and possibly any of the discussions, the one we just had. Log on to newsmaxtv.com/comments. newsmaxtv.com/comments and have your voice heard and your freedom.